had the guys going through workouts, started those last week. Just take us through what you've been able to see. I know it's limited time with those workouts, but what have you seen from the group so far?
Well, again, it's good. We'll move forward here, and I have to talk about a lot that's the last 4 months. But first off, it was just good to get everybody back. That's our comfort zone as coaches and as players. That's our lives. Never in the history of my 40 years, whatever it's been, are you away from your players, and you're away from the gym. Basically for, almost 4 months. So just to get the guys back in here, give them a little structure, give them somewhere to go. For about 3 months, they weren't able to do a lot. So naturally, we're just bringing them back slowly, getting them back in here, getting them, Coach Hall's County is in the last 2 months has done some Zoom weight stuff with them. So we've tried to do everything we could, with the situation we had, but again, it's still a long time till whenever it is. We hope it's November. But I think the biggest thing was just getting everybody back right now and, getting everybody around each other and us just kind of gradually bring them along with a little basketball. So that's all. That's been positive for everybody.
As a quick follow-up, are you confident that things will start on time, or do you have an idea of, I guess your thoughts on that?
Hey, well, Dominic, hey, we're all looking forward to school starting on time. We feel good about that, and we're confident about that, and that's kind of the way we're moving forward with it. But I think it's very obvious in today's climate. It's kind of a week-by-week thing, a day-by-day thing almost. So, but we're all, hoping so. We feel as good as we can feel about it right now. But at the same time, it's going to come down to what's going to be smart and what's going to be safe for, everybody, students, student athletes and all that. But right now we're all anticipating and looking forward to getting started here on time, in a couple of weeks.
Coach Jared McDonald with the Daily News here.
Hey, Jared, welcome aboard, man.
Thank you. It's good to be on.
That position don't last about a year or so, and everybody runs away. I run you away in about a year, so about a year from now, you need to start making your plans. Because after a year of this, everybody seems to move in different directions.
Yeah, different career paths, totally too. It's I'm excited to see what my next career path is.
Lawyers, we got preachers, we have a little bit of everything coming from your chair right there.
No, for sure. With the amount of experience that you guys have coming back, how much do you think that kind of helps coming back and like the weird situation that it is?
Well, I think where it's a weird situation or, a situation like it was, having experience is something that's invaluable, that you can't teach it. Only time can cure it. And you've heard me talk about experience many a time. And for the first time, we have a lot of experience coming back. And with that experience, we have good players with that experience. There's a little difference if you got some guys who are experienced and, not as good a players you'd like to have, but we have good players with experience and different mixture of all of them. There's Cooper now, who had to sit out last year. We all know his situation, be a fifth-year guy and brings valuable playing experience, and just having him last year in practice and what he was able to do. And I think there's no question he's gotten better at what he was able to do. Tavion's, I don't follow these stats like Zach does and you guys does, but I don't know if hadn't been many players play more minutes in a young man going into a senior year. Zach, has he played more minutes than any senior going into the senior year? Zach says yes, so pretty experienced. Then you got a Josh back that has gotten better for us. You got a Carson who's a fifth-year guy, and you got Charles now. After what happened to him last year, he's had a lot of time to really concentrate and spend on this injury. And the virus sure wasn't good for nobody. But the one thing with him, it allowed him to only everybody to just concentrate on him. John and our medical staff did a tremendous job with him. During all this time, he was rehabbing every day. And again, he's probably happier to have his teammates back than anybody because it was getting to be a long 3 months for him. So, then we've signed a another experienced guy, and Luke transferred from Davidson. That's a one. I guess he's a 1-2 third year guy. So there is some experience, and we like our mixture of young guys. We like those guys coming in. But I think the biggest thing that I'm that as a coach that you really like, you have good players, but I couldn't ask for more as people and the character and the work ethic these guys have right here. This is I've had some good groups. This is definitely the best group from that standpoint.
Just kind of a quick follow-up on that. Charles, I know he was cleared for non-contact court activities earlier this summer. Do you have an update of his status now?
Me personally, I think Charles is doing really well. He's going through all of our workouts right now. It's non-contact, 4 guys at a time. But I was really kind of surprised where he was at. Watch him sprint. He's sprinting really well. Naturally, he's still trying to get that muscle back developed where it was at before, in that leg. But I think he's doing really well. And again, I think just being back around his teammates, that was a lonely 3 months for him every day. And like I told him, it just wasn't easy for him. So all that was good for him. And again, I think he's doing exceptionally well.
Do you have any kind of timetable for when he'll be back for full contact and everything like that?
Jared, I our medical staff has that. John kind of has that. But, the way it's turned out, what we're doing right now, it's probably worked in his favor that we're not rushing him. We have plenty of time yet. Different kind of time. We'll probably have, the August. And again, we don't plan too far ahead. So someone asked me what we're doing, and for sure in August, we got some ideas, but it's nothing in concrete. It's kind of, get through this week and see what else happens. But, we've probably got some more time. If you had to ask me right now, if things stay like they are, then our kids will probably, stay here through the August time when normally they'd get 3 weeks break. So there's an extra 3 weeks he'll gain there. So, but time practice started for sure. Full practice. There's no question he'll be ready to go, and maybe even before then. So we think he's doing really well. And again, John, who's our head trainer here, he's done a tremendous job with him. He's put in a lot of time. Like I said, every day when everybody else was home, locked down, these 2 guys were together every day working.
Hey, Coach, it's Dominic again. During this time, I guess, with the players getting back on campus, was there ever moments in advance where maybe you were telling Todd that you want the players here quarantining, maybe because you feel more safe with them being together and being in, you could say, like a little quarantine bubble and making sure they were away from other things?
Well, let me say this, Dominic. And Dominic, you got to introduce yourself every time you come on here, because I don't recognize you. So I'm just make sure you tell me who I'm speaking to. I just don't recognize you. Our athletic department and our medical staff has done a tremendous job, being able to create some policies and to allow us to get these young men back in here. At the same time, understanding, hey, the safety of the student athlete comes first. We understand, we're not like the NBA. We can't just get in a bubble and live in a bubble. But we've got to be able to find ways to, do the things that gives us the best opportunity and chance to not get shut down and have to go home, which a lot of programs happen to. So the protocol, I think that, like I say, our medical staff and athletic department has put a lot of time in coming up with. I think it gives us the best chance to do that. Is it inconvenient for everybody? Absolutely it is. But at the same time, we understand we're in times, that none of us has ever seen before. So just to get our guys back, no question, we're trying to do all the protocol that's put in place with us. And, and I do feel like, with all the protocol we have in place, our guys are about as safe as they can be right here. Again, as long as they're with me, we know what we got. Can I control every moment who they're with once they leave here? No. That's when you got to kind of trust your guys the best you can and hope that they try to limit those opportunities that they're putting themselves in a situation from a social distancing issue that, maybe, um, keeps us here, not have to send us all home. So again, there's no perfect world, but I do feel like we're about as what we've come up with here and what we're able to do. It's created an opportunity about as well as we can have.
Taryn Johnson. You can go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Taryn Johnson, WNKY 40. Coach, I'm curious, have you noticed a different mentality among those returners in the 3 weeks they've been on campus, since last postseason got cut short before it ever really started?
Well, as you guys well know, until 2 weeks ago was the first time we seen these guys since we got off that plane and bus, whenever it was, March to whatever it was. I mean, and it was a huge disappointment for everybody, and I'm sure every player and every team across the country, but because our guys really felt good where we were at going in that tournament. The situation, I think it's very obvious. We all look back, without a Charles and a Cooper, that bunch still put themselves in position to compete for a championship, and they had it right there in the grasp of their hands. So, I've told them many a time, after that tournament and during this time, that how proud I was what they accomplished. A lot of teams could have laid down and had excuse not to have been successful, not had opportunity to compete for a championship. These guys didn't. And again, I really felt like we couldn't win in that tournament in a better frame of mind than what we did. We came off that huge win down there in Florida National, where there's not many people going to go down there and win on that last game, and against a really good team. So our guys felt confident. To get that kind of taken away from them, that was a huge setback. So, I think no question, not being able to do that, and what everybody's been through, I think it probably, hopefully, it makes everybody appreciate and understand how fragile this game is, how fragile life is sometimes. And you hate to have moments like this sometimes to make you understand this, but, I think it's human nature for all of us. So I do feel like there's some appreciation now, for the opportunities that we have and, the abilities we've been blessed with and, the opportunities to compete and get back. And sometimes it takes more experienced guys to understand that. Sometimes when you're younger, you take everything for granted. Now, like I said, we have enough experience mixed in with this bunch. There's some guys who understand some different things and been through a lot. So I do think that.
Hey, Coach, Deuce Switzman, WLKY in Louisville. So is Davion McKnight on campus yet? And if so, what have you seen from him in the early parts of practice?
Well, I don't know if we call it practice yet. Have you seen Davion play a little bit? Have you seen Davion? Seen him some? Okay, so when I talk about him a little bit, you'll understand this. I don't know how many guys have seen him. He's one of the young men that I probably, because I had time to be here and recruit, he was a guy I've seen for, after that sophomore year, early in that summertime. So I was able to watch him for 2 years. And you've heard me say this in recruiting, there's no science to it. You just got to be right more than y'all wrong. Sometimes it's hard to evaluate that heart and soul, and you can look at the abilities and see that. But, at heart and soul, determines how good you're going to be most of the time. Well, I got zero question about his. He'll come in here physically and mentally, which is the two things all young kids have to make adjustments with. But his adjustment will be minimized as much as any freshman I've had in a long time, because mentally and physically, he's there. He comes from a really good high school program in Collins. He's been coached. He's been raised by, a great family. His mother's done an unbelievable job. He's got his work ethic and his toughness through his mother. She's get up in the morning at 3:30 every morning and freaking drive to Louisville and works a long, hard day and comes home. And, she's never missed a beat. And so I see where he's got his toughness and work ethic from with that mother. So to answer your question, I'm not sure what you asked, but he is here. He's doing great. You know, all we've done so far is just kind of 4 players at a time. We're not able to scrimmage. We're not able to, you know, have any kind of physical contact with each other yet. But whatever drills he's been through, he's done well. But I don't have to watch him through drills to know what we're getting from that young man. He'll hit the ground running.
Coach, this is Jeff. What have you been able to do, or what were you doing to occupy your time over the last 3 to 4 months? I mean, obviously you were away from the game, but what were you doing to keep yourself busy?
Hey, Jeff, let me tell you guys something, man. All you guys are young guys, so when I tell you this, y'all going to probably laugh at me. You know, in my whole life, my whole career, I'd never watched a Netflix show. I'd heard about them. I knew our guys watch them. I'd never watched one show. Unfortunately, we had Mio's grandmother, or Mio's mother, was staying with us too, and she was 85 or 87. So there was absolutely locked down tight. I got to watching Netflix for the first time in my life. And Grandma, sometimes we'd start there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, go all night, and go to bed at 6 o'clock next morning. Because there was no going nowhere. You didn't have to get up. You wasn't going anywhere. So there's some shows. It's amazing how they've been on the national NBC, CBS. I never knew about, like The Office. Never knew it existed. The movie Stranger Things, start to finish. Hey, how about Outer Banks? And I got to watch that with my boys too, because they had the pretty young girls in there. But once you get to watching it, you watch it to the end. Then probably one of my favorite one was The Professor. What was the name of that one? Breaking Bad. Everybody watch Breaking Bad? All you guys watch that? Hey, we would start watching it, and I didn't, once you get to watching one show, man, that next one comes. You can just sit there and keep watching and watching and watching. So the first month, I really didn't know it existed, but I went through about a 2-month span there. That there was a lot of Netflix watched. And like I say, some of those shows I'd never even heard of. The Office was a great show, and I'm sure all you guys have watched it. But I spent a lot of time up in the country. There's nobody around up there where I'm from, and it was just strange times. It was different times. You couldn't. Probably a lot of things that's happened is going to change our world. And the way we do things forever. Just like this call right here. We may do all of our media stuff from here on out this way. That'd save us a lot of money on that post-game meal for you guys, I know. So, hey, we're looking for ways to save money. So there's going to be some things come from this that's I think we've all learned from. Whoever heard that you could get your groceries delivered. And the amount of things that, that you can order now that maybe you used to do. So, basically my life was pretty simple. Didn't do a whole lot of things, zero traveling. And we had to be particularly careful because of Mio's mother living with us, and she went back about 3 weeks ago. But, still we're pretty cautious what's going on out there.
Coach, a quick follow-up. Back on the basketball court, you guys did add Luke Frampton. What do you think he'll bring to your team? Why was it important to bring in a guy of his caliber to the squad this year?
Well, Jeff, I think there's one thing that, we can look at our team and say we got some good guard play. We're pretty athletic, and getting Charles back and Cooper, it really helped in some areas there. And but the one thing that we lost from last year's team, we lost, our 2 best shooters. Jarrett. I've said many times, he just wasn't a good shooter. Everybody probably don't really understand everything he brought to our team from a leadership standpoint. He got so much better at it. He became a much better, defender, rebounder, all those things. But there's one thing that he could do, could shoot the basketball. And the same way with, Cam Justice. So we basically lost, and again, Cam's season was cut in half because it was hard for him to ever get in a flow with his injuries, not being able to practice. But the one thing we did lose in those two guys, was the ability to jump up and make shots. Both of them. They were both our led us in three-pointers made. So it was important, even though we got some guys back that can make some shots. It was important to find another piece out there that can make some shots. And Luke Frampton was a young man that we recruited out of high school. I remember seeing him the last weekend in July over in South Carolina, played for Big Shots, Jeff Snyder's team. And before we could get, that's back when I'm still trying to scramble and sign 10 guys a year. And I couldn't spend enough time getting in that thing. Some people have been in it for a long time. And it seemed like in about 2 or 3 weeks after July was over, he commits to Davison. And first year hurt his knee and sat out. Second year, I guess led to Atlantic 10 and made threes. It's a pretty good league. And, one of the few players, I guess the first player ever made 100 three-pointers in his freshman year at Davidson. So, everybody you can look at his stats and see he can shoot the basketball. He's got good size, at 6'5". But I think he brings a guy can pass the basketball. Guy's got a, high basketball IQ, and he'll bring some experience. He's, like I said, he's been through a good league, and he's made shots. And, when you look at the way our team's put together, some guys getting that lane a little bit now, Charles back, we got to have people who space that floor. And I think he's a guy can really help us from that area. And along with some, the other new kids we have, Kevin's the JC kid from Vincennes by way of Toronto. We'd been watching him since his freshman days. And, Vincennes comes from you guys who follow basketball know it's one of the better junior college programs in the country, coached by a guy from Kentucky, Todd Franklin. His brother played for me at Austin P years ago. Now he's a head coach down in Chipola Junior College. But he's come from a program, been coached, a lot of structure, a lot of discipline, won a national championship his freshman year. He was the MVP of that year. But I think the things he brings are this. He's a high character young man. He brings a lot of toughness. He brings athleticism, quickness. We've gone through some testing drills in the last 2 weeks. The three freshmen right now test out to be the three quickest guys on our team, Davion and Kylan and Kevin, just in a sprints that Coach Hall's testing with. So those three guys have shown more quickness than anybody we've had. We got some, Tavion, some guys, Cooper coming back, got some quickness. So no question, we've added some athleticism on all those spots. And I think Kevin brings some toughness to this team. And, Kylan's a freshman that kid from Arkansas that went to prep school down there in Atlanta. We had a chance to see him a couple times last year, but again, he's not one you've been able to see for a year. So you're not 100% for sure, but I'd say this in the 2 weeks, he's probably been a guy that we've been, as pleased with or surprised with as anybody, just to see him do some things that you hope he could really do at the level you want. He seems to really be able to shoot the basketball, and there's no question about his athleticism. And like I say, I think he's a tough young man, high character. And, then there's Rawls back last year who gained a lot of experience from his position. And, it's never easy when you're a freshman getting thrown in a role he got thrown into, having to play the amount of minutes he did and, guard the people and do the things that he had to do. So that was adjustment for him too. So again, I think there's no question we have more depth in that perimeter back that I like, with some experience. And we all know about Carson, what Carson's going to give you every day and every possession. It was hard on him being bottled up for these 3 months. He's a guy that he's got to unwound. So getting him back in here and getting him back started again is good for everybody. And like I said, then there's Josh back. We all know athleticism Josh brings, and it's continued to get him better shooting that basketball. And if he does that, that's just going to create his versatility out there on that court. So y'all can see I like our team. I like our people. I like our people we've had, like I said, we've had good people in the past. We've had, good high character guys, but 1 through 13 or 15, whatever it is, if you had to draw it up on paper, you couldn't draw it up any better than what we have right here.
Coach, it's Dominic again. Now, this isn't new news at all, but we haven't been able to talk to you since the news came out. What were your thoughts when you saw Kentucky had 2 Conference USA teams on the schedule and they were not Western Kentucky?
Well, again, honestly, naturally, we would love to play Kentucky. Do I understand why they don't want to play us? I do. I mean, probably if I'm Kentucky, why take a chance on playing West Kentucky? Why do that? So it didn't bother me. I was disappointed we didn't play. Cal and I talked about it, and I think Cal was trying to do everything he could, maybe to try to get the game to work out. But I do understand. Don't mean I have to really like it. I look at it as a respect. That's the way I look at it. Somebody don't want to play us, and they play somebody else in your league, other teams. I don't look at the negatives. I look at the positives. There's a respect factor there. And again, if the shoe's on the other foot and you're sitting in their chair, they know we got an experienced team coming back and a good team coming back. Why roll the dice with playing us? So I didn't take it as personal. I took it as respect, and only respect because it is Kentucky. We all know they have one of the better programs in America. And, as a coach and as a player, you like the challenges and opportunities against playing against the best, and they just happen to be in our state. So, hopefully in the future, we can, keep finding ways maybe to move forward and get some games. I think it'd be great. I think it's great for the state, Kentucky. I think it's good for Kentucky basketball. I think it creates excitement in today's environment. I think everybody's going to be challenged a little bit now moving forward with, crowds and all that. And, I know even Kentucky had some problems with some crowds even last year. That's kind of unusual for Kentucky basketball. But, I think those things are all positive things that could create, some, help us with some challenges with each program and create some opportunities maybe for other people out in this state. I know we had talked about, making that a charity game where we could, help some, people, some frontline people, or, add to the, what we could to the social equality groups. But for whatever reason, we weren't able to work it out. But there's no, bad feelings with it, Dominique. We'll move on. And I do understand. I didn't take it personal. And hopefully in the future, we can still find a way to play a game.